Hi, I'm Marilyn Boyer from Character Concepts. I am the mom of 14 homeschooled kids who've been homeschooled from kindergarten through high school. And as our kids were growing up, we sought to find a way to teach them how to implement the character of Jesus Christ in their life. Not having been raised in a Christian home, I had no clue how to do that. But as I saw character needs crop up in the lives of my kids, unkindness, whining, complaining, I would look to Scripture to see what it said about it. And I would write down the Scriptures and short answer questions for my kids to answer so that they could learn what Scripture said about the problems that were occurring in their lives. We have been homeschooling for 37 years, and as my kids started growing up and leaving home, that gave me more time to turn the curriculum that we used for our 14 kids into pretty looking curriculum that others can use with their children too. So I thought today what I would do is walk you through how we taught our kids character and show you some of the different levels so that you can see what might work best for your family. First of all, we've got a preschool curriculum, which would be for preschool through maybe first grade. And it's got all the instructions in the mom's guide. But the way that it's set up is to cover 12 basic character qualities that every child needs to know, like obedience, kindness, responsibility, diligence. And what we do, we cover each one of those character qualities for 3 weeks at a time. The first week, there's a story, an everyday life story from Crossroads of Character for your kids to read how other children their age implemented that quality in their life. The second week, there's a Bible story, which is provided in the back of the mom's guide to see how somebody in Scripture demonstrated that character quality. And there's also coloring pages for each one of those. So as you're dealing with your kids, they can color the picture while you're reading them the Bible story. The third week, there's a CD that we provide called Uncle Rick's History for Preschoolers. And it's somebody from history, their real life, and how they illustrated that character quality in their life. Also in the Mom's Guide, which you could do with all your kids, there's ideas for how to practically implement obedience and responsibility, all those character qualities in their lives. Practical projects, such as the obedience game. We did this with our kids, and they loved it. It was just a game to them, but it was training them in obedience. We would go out on the lawn, and Rick would call out commands: walk like a crab, run, lie down, turn upside down. And the kids would follow those commands. It was so cute to watch the preschoolers because they were usually a few commands behind the older kids. But it was training the kids to have first-time obedience, to obey without asking why. Now, we always wanted to tell our kids why, because they need to know why you've got the rules that you have. But we would tell them, you obey first, you ask why later. And that's just one of the examples of a fun way that we taught first-time obedience to our kids in a way that they loved. There's also simple flashcards that teach the basic character qualities with simple kid-friendly definitions, like attentiveness is listening with the ears, eyes, and the heart. Obedience is doing what you're told immediately, cheerfully, and thoroughly. And then there's all kinds of practical projects and seasonal type things, recipe ideas for the season that you can do with your kids, with all your family, not just your preschoolers. Okay, the second level is character trails, and that's from approximately ages 6 through 9. It covers 12 more character qualities, different than in Crossroads of Character. And for each one, there's a story from the Bible, a story from everyday life, and a story from history. And then at the end of each chapter, there's questions and practical projects. And there's character trail stories, which my husband recorded. For instance, for attentiveness, we use the story of Samuel in Scripture. And it's just a pretty short story in this book. But he reads through the whole story of Samuel in Scripture, and he describes how Samuel showed attentiveness, and then kind of walks the kids through how they can show attentiveness in the home, too. Then Kids of Character, that's the third level. This is for approximately ages 7 through 10. It covers 45 basic character qualities with simple kid-friendly definitions and little short answer questions to look up from Scripture. It gives you the Scripture, gives you the question. Your kids look it up from Scripture. And at the end of each section are some ifs, which is another fun game that we played with our kids to prepare them for temptations they would have in the future. For instance, we would say, if you were at Travis's house and he said, hey, let's watch this TV program, it's a great one. My parents like it, your mom won't care. What would you do? And our rule was the kids had to specifically ask before they watched a TV program. You might have a totally different rule. But the whole idea behind it is you're preparing your kids in advance for situations of temptation that they will enter. And our kids have attested that helped them so many times. Not that they would always choose rightly, but it helped them know the right thing to do. It prepared them in advance. It also comes with Portraits of Integrity, our book of true stories from history that you could read as a family, but there's a person for each one of those character qualities: courage, responsibility, forgiveness, and it's a very engaging story that helps them realize what that character quality means when it's put into practice. Very, very engaging. Then the fourth level is Proverbs People collection. It includes Proverbs People 1, Proverbs People 2. These are workbooks with simple short answer questions as before, but it's from the book of Proverbs, and it deals with types of people that Proverbs talks about, people that you will meet in life. For instance, the diligent and the slothful. The kids may see themselves in there. Along with that, we again have flashcards, and then we have Uncle Rick Reads the Proverbs, where Rick reads through the entire book of Proverbs. He explains difficult words. He gives example stories. We popped these scripture CDs in at bedtime, and our kids learned volumes of scripture without even trying. It's one of the best things we did. The next level is Growing in Wisdom. This deals with 32 negative kinds of behavior and the corresponding positive: anger, self-control, tattling, love, laziness, diligence, jealousy, contentment. And then it also has Rick, which he reads through the scriptures that are in this book, and he explains them and helps the kids to apply it to their life in a practical way. We try to make things fun. We try to make it practical, applied to everyday life at the level that they are at. The next level is for junior high, approximately ages 13 through 15, and it goes through the fruits of the Spirit. And again, there's questions for the kids to look up. They're a little more complicated than the lower levels, a lot more questions. But the kids go through it, they look it up, and they get wisdom on how to apply the fruit of the Spirit to their life. So important for junior hires. Flashcards for that level too. Then there's Words of Wisdom, which is approximately for ages 14 through 17. As you can see, some of these ages overlap, and that's okay. I did not realize how much Scripture talks about our words, but my kids were struggling with that. So I looked up every reference in the Bible to words: acceptable words, bitter words, blasphemous words, bold words, comforting words, ensnaring words, fitly spoken words, gracious words, grievous words. I mean, Scripture talks about our words so much. And if our kids in the junior high and high school level can get a handle on that, they're going to avert some problems that they could have in life if we can get a handle on the use of our words and how words can hurt others or build them up. In high school level, the next level is for high school. It's Power in Proverbs. This one is a little different in that it is set up by topic. And it teaches the kids how to use either a concordance or the internet nowadays, and to look up things in Scripture. For instance, friendships, finances, mischief, forgiveness. The thought being, everything that we need to know for successfulness in life is in the Bible. The Bible is our guidebook. We want to teach our kids how to use it. The other studies kind of gave the kids the scriptures, and they looked up the answers. This one, the kids dig out the insights for themselves using the tools provided. The last level we have is For You They Signed. This is about the 56 signers of the Declaration, but it's character-based. It tells what they sacrificed for our freedom. It tells what they believed about Jesus Christ, which so many of them wrote in their last will and testament. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I hope that helped you kind of get a feel for the different levels that we have. Our website is characterconcepts.com, and we are committed to providing tools to help you be successful in raising kids of character. I also do weekly podcasts, Moments with Marilyn, anywhere that you want to access podcasts, and I try to give practical tips to help you raise your kids. Thanks for joining us today.